So let's transition into your first days in service after you had finished your diving school and everything like that. Did you end up in England like they told you you would?
No.
What happened?
The Navy had other ideas. Before I graduated from dive school, within a few weeks, I got a phone call from what they call your detailer, who is an officer in the Pentagon that assigns your specialty. And my specialty was, of course, was going to be deep sea diving. And he said, well, I got bad news. The Brunswick is late in construction, and therefore it's not going to be ready for pre-commissioning crew when you graduate in 2 weeks. So your orders are canceled. All I got is Harbor Clearance Unit 1, Da Nang, Republic of Vietnam. And so on New Year's Day, in a blinding snowstorm, I went to the airport at National Airport in Washington, D.C. for a flight to San Francisco on my way to Vietnam.
And what was your job when you got there?
Harbor Clearance Unit had a barge. We would go up the rivers and salvage PBRs and gunboats and stuff that would be sunk, and we'd go up and salvage them, bring them back to Da Nang, and they'd repair them and put them back into service.
Did you move around from that specific barge?
We'd have a job, we'd go up the rivers, up into the Vietnam was divided into military regions, and they were Roman numerals from the demilitarized zone, which was the border with North Vietnam. The first region south of that was Roman numeral 1, and it became known as I Corps. And then there was 2 Corps, or 3 Corps, or 4 Corps as you moved south in the country. And I never left I Corps. I was always in the northernmost part of South Vietnam. Never went really any place other than between Da Nang and the provincial capital of Hue. And so we went up to Hue during the Tet Offensive of 1972, and because a landing craft with tanks ran aground, we were going up to pull her off. And when we were going up the river, we were taking small arms and some heavy arm fire from the bank.
And did you stay on that same barge the entire time that you were stationed in Vietnam?
No, because then when that tour was up, I liked Vietnam. I mean, I felt like it was the only real job I'd ever had. I'd worked in a factory one summer. I'd been a lifeguard for 6 summers while I was in high school and college. This was a real job I'd ever had. And it was pretty heady stuff for 22-year-old kids. I was in charge, and the war was going on all around us, and it was exciting. So I looked to stay, and the only other, pretty much all the Americans were getting out. There were only very few units left, but SEAL team had a billet for a diving officer, and so, but I wasn't SEAL trained. I was already diving trained and demolition trained, but I'd had no land warfare qualifications other than 50 caliber, 20 millimeter, 40 millimeter, 5-inch gun. I was a pistol marksman, but I had had no other small arms training. And so I had to go back to Subic in the Philippines to Underwater Demolition Team 12 to get land warfare qualified, to come back. And the reason they wanted diving officers because SEAL team was doing insertions into North Vietnam from underwater from the USS Grayback, a diesel submarine. And so they needed experienced diving officers. And so I asked them if I could do that, and they said yes. And so they moved me over to SEAL team in Da Nang, and the only insertions that we ever did were from the Grayback. And we went up to the Tonkin Gulf to sweep mines because they needed divers to demolish mines. And because that was part of the Paris Peace Accords, that we would clear all the mines that we put in the Havana Harbor. And so a big task force of about 50 ships went up to the Tonkin Gulf to clear mines. And when that was finished, that project was finished, the Grasp went back to Guam, which was her home port, and I went with her.
And that was the end.
That was the end of Vietnam for me.